by the fourth blitz in terms of food distribution is underway and will continue to cushion the most vulnerable food insecure households as they await the harvest in terms of the produce. Nationally, a cumulative total of 45,000 metric tons of grain has been distributed to the communities under the exercise. In addition, the cumulative distribution under the Zunde Ramambo Ispahla Senkosi stands at 4,372 metric tons of grain. Processes are underway to replenish grain stocks allocated to the chiefs, and meanwhile the Cash for Cereal program continues. Cabinet received the Water Security Update and Preparedness for the 2025 Winter Plan as presented by the Minister of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development, Honorable Dr. Anxious Jongwe Masuka. In order to effectively support the 2025 Winter Plan, a total of 151 major dams were analyzed across the country to verify existing irrigation capacities. As at 13 March 2025, dams across the country's 10 provinces are at 88.5%. The average national levels are above the 82% threshold recorded during the same time last season. The 2025 winter cereal production target for three major crops is 135,000 hectares, with wheat on 120,000 hectares, barley on 6,500 hectares, and Irish potatoes on 8,750 hectares. The wheat plan aims to produce 600,000 metric tons, surpassing the national annual requirement of 360,000 metric tons. Additionally, barley and potato production are expected to rise to 39,000 and 263,000 metric tons respectively. To ensure the plan's success, the government of Zimbabwe will closely monitor the 21 critical enablers, including power, water, seed, fertilizer, fuel, financial support enablers, comprising farmer payments, finance, insurance, operational efficiency enablers, comprising mechanization, coordination, and contract farming, risk management enablers comprising mitigatory measures in order to support the growth of the agricultural sector, migratory pests, land issues, security, veiled fire management, as well as other enablers such as capacity building, the policy regulatory environment, soil management, marketing and monitoring and evaluation. A whole of government and indeed a whole of sector approach will be utilized in order to achieve the set targets. Cabinet received an update on the preparations for the meeting of Southern Africa Development Community Ministers of Employment and Labor and Social Partners, which will be held from the 24th to the 28th of March 2025 in Victoria Falls, as presented by the Minister of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, Honorable Edgar Moyo. The objective of the meeting is to enable the Ministers of Labor and Employment and Social Partners in the SADC region to take stock of the implementation of employment and labor sector programs and to decide on issues of strategic relevance to the region. The meeting is also expected to discuss the ratification status of the SADC Protocol on Employment and Labor, the declaration of the promotion of decent works, and the elimination of forced labor in the fisheries sector in the SADC region, and the development of the revised regional technical and vocational education and training. The preparations for the meeting is also progressing very well. Cabinet considered and approved the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Bill of 2025, which was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi, who is also the chairperson of the Cabinet Committee on Legislation. The Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Bill seeks to fortify the existing Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Act, Chapter 22.23, by addressing gaps and challenges that hinder its alignment with the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Among other key amendments, the bill introduces the restriction of employees and their relatives from participating in the procurement of disposed assets, thereby preventing potential conflicts of interest and undue influence. This move aims to promote transparency, fairness, and accountability in public procurement processes for ease of doing business, whilst facilitating the country's road to rapid industrialization in pursuit of Vision 2030. The amendments generally ensures better management in the procurement and disposal of public assets. Cabinet considered and approved the Memorandum of Understanding between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Nicaragua on the establishment of a joint permanent commission on cooperation, which was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi. The agreement aims to bolster bilateral relations and cooperation by promoting mutual understanding and collaboration. The Joint Permanent Commission on Cooperation will focus on strengthening bilateral ties and fostering cooperation across various sectors, including economic cooperation, scientific and technological advancements, environmental protection, education, and cultural exchange. Cabinet considered and approved the signing of the convention establishing the International Organization for Mediation, which was presented by the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziambi. Zimbabwe is continuously increasing its participation in regional and international organizations that champion peace and human well-being. Accordingly, it is desirable for Zimbabwe to become a party to the Convention on the Establishment of the International Organization for Mediation, spearheaded by the People's Republic of China. The Convention will be the first intergovernmental international legal organization dedicated to resolving international disputes through mediation frameworks. The IOMED plays a crucial role in implementing the peaceful resolution of international disputes as stipulated in the United Nations Charter, and offers a new option for countries to resolve disputes peacefully. Cabinet received the report on the virtual extraordinary summit of SADC heads of state and government, which was held on the 13th of March 2025, as presented by the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Amon Muruira. The extraordinary summit was chaired by the SADC chairperson, His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. The summit participation included the following countries: Botswana, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Tanzania, Namibia, Mozambique, Madagascar, South Africa, Zambia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Malawi, Mauritius, Angola, and Seychelles. The update on the latest security situation in the DRC from the chairperson of the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Hassan, made a presentation. Further to the decision of the phased withdrawal of the SADC mission in the DRC, the summit reaffirmed SADC's unwavering commitment to continue supporting the DRC in safeguarding its independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, as well as ensuring sustainable peace and security. The summit recognized the efforts of the East African community and SADC in dealing with the situation in the DRC and reiterated the call for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, the cessation of hostilities, and the protection of free movement of civilians seeking safety. It also urged all parties to uphold international humanitarian principles, to desist from attacking civilian infrastructure, and to guarantee unhindered humanitarian support and access. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for presenting today's cabinet highlights. We now move to the first set of 3 questions. Then we will ask the ministers to respond. Then we have the last round of 3 questions, and again we ask the ministers to respond. Over to you, colleagues. Yes.
Abigail Temple from CBC News. My question is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Minister, we're going into the new season, but from what we've heard, farmers are still owed some money. What is the treasury position? And then my second question, how will the government utilize the findings from the analysis of the 151 major dams to improve irrigation capacities and support the 2025 winter plan?
If you have number 3.
Okay, number 3. What steps are being taken to address potential water security challenges in the upcoming winter season, seeing that most of our dams are now siltated? Thank you.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chief Secretary. All the questions relate to Dr. Masuka, the Minister of Lands and Agriculture, about the analysis in terms of the 151 dams, the steps being taken in order to capacitate the damming infrastructure, and also the outstanding amounts of money for the farmers. Over to you, Dr. Masuka.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman, Senator Tembo, the BC. Questions. The government has made major strides in reducing what is owed to farmers. Currently, the outstanding amount for farmers is ZiG 78 million and US dollars 15 million. And that from a high of 43 million US dollars. And this arose partially from the wheat that was delivered to GMB in August through to November, and also a bit of summer grain. And that, you know that we are coming from the worst drought in 43 years. So in terms of government prioritization, procurement of social welfare support for the 9.2 million rural people, out of which we had estimated that 6.54 million would be food insecure, was priority. Additionally, government was mobilizing resources to equip farmers to be prepared for the coming season through the presidential input scheme, and we've distributed inputs to 3.5 million. This then created this gap, which government is trying to make good. However, there are also discussions now to try and assist Treasury should such cash flow dislocations occur in future. And Cabinet has approved the establishment of a crop purchase buffer fund. And this crop purchase buffer fund will be capitalized to the tune of 50 million and will be deployed to AFC, will be summoned at an appropriate time should there be this gap in paying farmers, so that the farmers are paid more timeously. So government is doing everything in its power, with the limited resources, with the competing national priorities to pay farmers. It is one of the 21 enablers paying outstanding farmer payments that we've listed in order to ensure that the hectares that we've targeted for winter gets plowed. Irrigation plan, yes, we presented just for the 3 main crops. We've identified over 140,000 hectares as being available for winter irrigation out of the 217,202 hectares that we have now developed for irrigation. So we've said that we want 120,000 hectares for wheat production in order to achieve the volume of 600,000 metric tons. We want 8,750 hectares in order to achieve 236,000 metric tons of potatoes. We want 6,500 hectares for barley, and exclusively financed by Delta Corporation for malting, for use locally and also for selling to the region. And that will produce somewhere in the region of about 39,000 metric tons. We have matched the available water to the hectarage. And additionally, ZINWA, the Zimbabwe National Water Authority, is going a step further to allocate water according to the crop, rather than just giving a generic allocation for winter per hectare. And also, I've emphasized that they must allocate according to irrigation system. A sprinkler system uses more water than a center pivot, and of course drip irrigation. So a farmer who is using a center pivot and doing wheat ought to be allocated precisely, and science is there to develop that, precisely what they require for wheat irrigation. So this targeting is happening. The 151 dams that we track that are just over 88% full, compared to this time of the year last year at 82%. We are very pleased that this past 2 weeks we've had some rains that has led to the underground recharge and also replenishment of dams. What has not been captured clearly and what we can highlight to you is that of the 120,000 hectares of wheat, 5,000 is actually grown under smallholder, and this is flay wheat production. There is also going to be a proportion that will be grown through borehole water, which is why we want the underground recharge, and a proportion that is grown from farm dams, the smaller farm dams, which we have 10,600 dams in the country. What we've highlighted here are the major dams that power this irrigation, and for which in the 7 catchments we'll be able to decant from one dam to the next in order to meet this hectarage. Water security, siltation. Siltation is an ongoing challenge, as is environmental degradation, largely because of deforestation. And this is an education issue, so that we can ensure that we restore the integrity of our ecosystems and ensure that the riverine systems are maintained, so the inflows into dams can be assured and then reduce siltation, because invariably it is easier to build another dam or another way than actually to remove the sand when siltation occurs. But we monitor these dams. We hope we'll be able to do more as we acquire better gadgetry to be able to do this, the telemetry that we're looking at in future. We should be able to tell the rate of siltation by catchment and almost by the major dams. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for responding to those questions. We move to the last round of 3 questions. Yes.
Alas Fuji to Herald newspaper. My question is directed at Minister Masuka. Minister, how assured are farmers of uninterrupted electricity supplies during the winter cropping season? And are there any mechanisms in place?
Any other question? Yes, Abigail.
Okay, what are the expected benefits of the Joint Payment Commission cooperation between Zimbabwe and Nicaragua? And then my second one, how will SADC's commitment to continue supporting the DRC be implemented despite the withdrawal of the SADC mission? Thank you.
Over to you, Honorable Minister.
The first question is related to Dr. Masuka. Can respond.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Herald, who is still there. Yes, of the 21 enablers that we track, for winter especially, number 1 is power, the assurance of uninterrupted supply of electricity. Last year we had 120 megawatts ring-fenced by ZESA for use by farmers. This year, this has increased to 150 megawatts. We now have an interministerial power working party that is working to establish the wheat growing clusters so that they can be a dedicated supply. Additionally, we've requested, and farmers are supplying the GPS coordinates of their meters so that ZESA can work with them to ensure that there's an uninterrupted power supply. The Minister of Energy and Power Development is also committed to ensuring that generation into Wanke 7 and 8 will be available from the 29th of March to assure farmers that this will be the case. You will note that generation at Kariba is also currently at 500 megawatts per day, and that really will go a long way in ensuring that the winter season will proceed as planned. Thank you very much.
All right. I will respond on behalf of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I'm sure he's not here. On the MOU between the Republic of Zimbabwe and the Republic of Nicaragua, the agreement aims to bolster bilateral relations and cooperation by promoting mutual understanding and collaboration, which is part of the engagement and re-engagement strategy. By working on a modality in terms of a joint permanent commission on cooperation, focus will also include strengthening the existing bilateral and ties that we have with Nicaragua, and also fostering cooperation across various sectors of the economy, including economic cooperation, scientific and technological advancements, environmental protection, education, and cultural exchanges. So these are some of the benefits that we will be able to tap into through the establishment of a joint permanent commission on cooperation in terms of trade, in terms of science, in terms of technological advancements, and also in terms of many other aspects, but also primarily in order to boost trade between the two respective countries. The second question is on the recent SADC Extraordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government, which was held on the 13th of March 2025. The Extraordinary Summit was chaired by His Excellency the President Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa. And as I've already indicated, that participation included Botswana, included the DRC, it included Tanzania, it includes Namibia, Mozambique, Madagascar, South Africa, Zambia, Lesotho, Eswatini, Malawi, Mauritius, and Seychelles, we are more than confident that we will achieve in terms of ensuring that the phased withdrawal of the SADC mission in the DRC continues. The summit, in terms of the detail, also reaffirmed SADC's unwavering commitment to continue supporting the DRC in safeguarding its independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. The whole extraordinary summit is more about the implementation modalities, which are going on extremely well. And the recent summit also recognized the efforts by the East African community working together with SADC in dealing with the situation in the DRC. And part of the implementation modalities also includes the immediate and unconditional ceasefire, the cessation of hostilities, and the protection of free movement of civilians seeking safety. And the joint planning in terms of the framework between the EIC and SADC is working now on modalities to appoint facilitators in terms of the implementation plan and the monitoring and evaluation. And we are more than confident that this will ensure that the SADC and EAC agreement will be implemented to the letter and will be very successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers, for responding to those questions. We have come to the end of today's post-cabinet press briefing. We meet next Tuesday. Thank you very much.